Stan, welcome for September. I had to make sure I get the month right. September council meeting, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you for being here. Just noted that council member Chris Shelton is out of town tonight, can't be here, but all our council members are present and accounted for. I believe everyone received the minutes from our August meeting via email. Does anyone have any corrections, deletions, or changes?
I have none. I would present those as accepted as presented.
Motion to approve minutes from Ray Black. Do we have a second?
I'll second those.
Okay, got Pam first that time. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, I'm gonna actually start this on this side with Ray and we'll swing that around. Signature for approval for those minutes. And Bobby, you're actually first on the list. Our, I think information presentation about the interlocal with Scott County.
Yes,
Awesome.
hoping to get first on the list so I can get in and out,
Okay,
but that was the plan. I guess the first thing I should ask, because I can't remember if we passed that along, is have you guys seen the interlocal agreement that the commissioners have already passed?
We had brief discussion about that
Okay.
months ago when you guys were bringing that plan and hoping it would come to fruition.
Yes.
So you might just briefly, kind of bring it
I
back
can
around.
give you the reader's
Highlight.
digest condensed version.
yeah,
Thank you.
and I was gonna say, do
There's
that
a
and
copy
then,
on everyone's desk.
yes, everybody should have a written copy, but this technically tonight's the first time we've had the full written copy, but
Okay.
yeah, we'd love a little, we knew this was coming, but we'd love a little additional
Click
information.
notes. I like click notes myself.
Yeah.
I can tell you a little secret. I watch most of these meetings, and a lot of the meetings that I watch, I love it on YouTube because I can go down that little gear and get 2.0. You all talk a lot slower in person. I can see those little quicker. Time's very valuable, as we all know.
Yep.
Basically, long story short, Scott County has been trying for quite a while to get a chip seal program in place. All of their chip seal equipment was very old, very dated. I don't think it even worked. They moved most of it at auction. I believe the distributor that they sold might have still had some material left in it, so it was a bit of a mess. They did contract out some chip seal this year. As you can imagine, with anything that you contract, those prices are escalated because they have to pay those labor rates as well. That company actually came from Illinois to come over and perform their chip seal projects. We've been doing a chip seal program now for many years. I know a lot more than the 27 that I've been here. We've gotten a lot better at it, so our chip seal actually stays in place. We get it put down in a timely manner. I know it's not always the most community friendly when we're doing the chip seal, but the preservation that performs on the roads is what makes it so valuable, because we can't pave our way out of bad roads. Because we'll just run out of funding. What this interlocal agreement does with Scott County kind of allows us to be kind of front runners when it comes to partnering up with a neighbor that we both need the same equipment to perform the job, to try to be more efficient, to try to stretch our dollars, because there's no point in both of us owning all of that equipment if we can find a way to make it work, because it's much like a farmer's combine. That combine sits most of the time, but when it's harvest time, you've got to have the combine. If you can work with a neighbor and work out that expense, then it makes sense to kind of keep things going and be very efficient. This interlocal agreement was drafted up by our county attorney as well as Scott County's attorney to go over to make sure everything was legal and compliant. There's plenty of clauses in there. There's room for that to be amended, extended if we wanted to get other possibilities with partnerships. But this one is really just to kind of get our feet wet with the program and start with the purchasing. If something happens and it does not work out, either party can request that it be dissolved and the equipment be liquidated and whatever has to be done. First option would definitely be to give the other partner the possibility of buying them. So it's something we have to get creative. You guys all know the budgets. I just sat here not too long ago with our wage hearings, trying to figure everything out, and our chip seal equipment, our distributor is a 1994 model, still does very good. We just have quite a bit in maintenance in that. I would probably prefer that we even keep our equipment as a backup plan, because it's not gonna be worth that much on the open market with that 1994 distributor that still works, as well as our 2000 model chip spreader. But our chip spreader does not have a very width head, so we don't haul it, because if we hauled it on a truck and trailer, it exceeds the width, and we would have to go through the state to get permits to even move it from one side of the county to the other. So if we drive it, we can get by. So we stay very creative to try to get as much done as we possibly can for Jefferson County.
We know the sources of funding for all things county highway are dwindling, and we
Yes.
must get creative. What questions do we have for Mr. Phillips regarding this partnership with Scott and the interlocal agreement?
I don't have any questions. I just want to make a comment on the good work that you did, being creative, thinking about just how the best use of dollars. I like the ability that you can cancel the agreement, the interlocal agreement, if either party becomes dissatisfied with the agreement. I think that that is wise. And so I just appreciate the effort and the work that you put into it.
Would be noted, there's no, in the ordinance, there's no specific, start date, effective date is when all parties have actually executed and signed the agreement. So, I guess just for public record, it's not starting in 2025. I know I do have, I believe this may be the master, I have signatures from our 3 council members. And then we have a page where our council, I have a signature from 3 commissioners. We can sign as council tonight, and then there is an included page for Scott County's 7-member council body. There is not a sheet in my stack with the commissioners. I'm gonna assume they have already.
I think we've
Also
already
approved
taken that
that.
out of the original.
Okay,
I've got a copy of that.
I just wanna make sure, I just wanna make sure that their council had signed also. I assume that was their step prior to that going to their commissioners prior to going to their council
Yes.
as well.
Their commissioners have signed
Okay.
it. Their council actually meets tonight at 6 o'clock.
Okay,
And I look forward to updating Kevin Hall,
sure.
your all's decision as soon as I get done. That was the
Okay.
only reason I wanted to be first on the agenda and
Sure.
requested so I could pass that information.
Yeah, I just
on.
wanna make sure their commissioners had signed.
Their commissioners have signed. I've actually got a picture or a copy of their signature. Ours is with the commissioners in the commissioner's office.
And it's also
So
my
there's
understanding,
three.
since this has been read verbatim and the commissioner's public meeting, that we do not have to read this all the way through out for public record, unless one of you requests that we do. Almost everybody in the room has a copy in front of them.
I motion that we negate the reading, public reading, since it's already been read and the commissioners are reading.
No, I'll second it.
Okay, so do we have a formal motion then to go ahead and pass and adopt from this council?
I move we pass and adopt
Interlocal.
the interlocal agreement between Jefferson County, Indiana and Scott County, Indiana regarding funds for the purchase of county highway equipment and maintenance.
Thank you.
I second.
And second by Ray Denning. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you for your work on that.
Hey, thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate it very much.
We'll go ahead and get this signed. I'm gonna take this sheet inside here with the copy of the
Yeah, that'd be fine. That was your copy that
signatures
Kevin
from
emailed me.
the Scott commissioners as well.
Yep, and you'll see the line next to it for the ayes and nays and all that good stuff. When we get that, I will let them know that
Go
it's,
ahead.
that it's being signed. You'll have Chris sign it with him not being here or not, so.
I'm gonna go ahead and put my vote 6-0, since he is not,
And then once you get the signed copy, their signature page, bring that to us and we will report it with Molly and then
Yes.
we can give
I'll
you
put
the
those
official
all
copy
together.
so they can report it on their end too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
thanks, Father.
Hey, thank you very much. You guys have a great night.
You too, thank
As
you.
well. We have a pretty short list this evening as that's going around for signatures for transfers and additionals. I think everybody had obviously received some information via email. We have that printed for you this evening as well. The one transfer is from, the Public Defender Support, Fund to the Superior Court Pettit Jury Fund. $10,000 from 1,000 fund 3145000.0271, excuse me, to the 31365.00000.0201 in the amount of $10,000, again, moving to Superior Court Pedicure Fund. So that was the additional, and then we can, before voting, we can even lump the three additionals, together. Does anyone have any questions about the transfer court, the $10,000 transfer?
Well, we've reviewed it, so.
Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and look then at the three additionals, the Coombe voting, that was from kind of an emergency need from Tabitha. Do you have any additional information, the iPad replacement?
Yeah, so, she did contact me, this week actually, and wanting to know if it was too late to make this a bigger additional because she had an emergency situation for this upcoming general. And I said, no, you can't do it right now, but we can go ahead and do the additional for the use of this fund for the spring during the primary, and know that next month we will have another additional because she's having some printer issues. So, she is gonna have to replace several printers that are out at the precincts. But right now, this is, for the iPad replacement.
Okay, luckily coming from that Coombe voting,
Right.
143.
And then the other fund, the 1170, which is public safety lit, originally, we didn't have a really solid estimate on utilities for the jail. We had budgeted 100,000 in county general and 100,000 in public safety. And we're gonna need 80,000 to finish out the year, and, so it makes sense to budget that there, in public safety.
That's that 80,000 additional. Obviously, that's come up in topic of conversation for next year's budget, utilities in general. And then those are I apologize, I said three, those are the only two additionals.
Right,
15
the
plus
other
three.
is, I'll discuss that if you want, and
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
it'll be
Go ahead.
Separate, cause it's a reduction, yeah, I can go ahead. Just like last year, when we went to sit down to do our budgeting, it was recommended by Department of Local Government Finance that we do a reduction in the budgets, that we're not going to spend all of the money that we originally budgeted. So I went through, the top three initially and did that. I will have to come back next month to do one more reduction. Coombe Bridge, we did not know how that was going to work until, our assessed values were put in, and there was a little bit of a delay with our assessed values getting in. And now that we have the proper estimate in, we're gonna have to work on that fund a little bit harder in budgeting. So, I talked to Bobby about that, earlier this week, and he was able to look and tell me that a few projects were not going to be wrapped up completely this year. So go ahead and do a reduction of those items, and then there would have to be some
Next year.
cuts for next year as well to be able to make.
Mhm,
The, homestead property tax cap
mhm.
really affected that fund this year. So, we are now at well over $1 million that the county misses out on because of the savings, which is great that the taxpayers have that much of a savings in Jefferson County, but at the same time, it definitely puts some
Pressure.
restraints on us in budgeting.
Uh-huh.
And those three, do you want to list out those three?
Yeah, so-
Again, reduction.
The three that we would be reducing this year is 1176 highway. We would be reducing by $1,390,000. 1,000 county general by 240,000.
What is that again? Come back. 240,000.
240,000 from county general.
Okay, okay.
And 1159, which is the health department, in the amount of $10,500.
Okay, yeah. All right.
You need a motion?
And that total would be 1,640,500. And this is a reduction in the three large funds. Yeah, let's go ahead, let's do those separate. So the reduction, sticking with that most recent, discussion, technically we have listed as the reduction, ordinance 2024-12, to be resolved that, that total reduction in those funds be $1,640,500. So let's go ahead and vote on that separately.
So I'll make a motion for the resolution 2024-011 for the amount of, total amount of,
It'll be 1,650,000
Mhm.
yes.
on
Yeah.
this one.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, so Ray, Black has made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of that, reduction, again, 24-12. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, same sign. Okay, and then back to the actual, additional, the 15,000 was from the Coombe voting for kind of emergency situation with iPad replacement. That coming from Coombe voting 1143, and then the 80,000 to settle up what we'll need for the additional utilities for the calendar year from the public safety lid fund 1170. So that total additional would be 95,000 even. Do we have a motion for that? That is resolution 2024-11.
Make that motion.
Okay, motion by Ray Denny. Do we have a second?
second,
Right, all those in favor? All right, okay. All right,
And then a motion for the transfer.
yes, and one last, the transfer is, we technically didn't vote on that. That was the $10,000 moving from the public defender support fund to the pedicure fund. The total of $10,000 for that transfer. Do we have a motion?
Make that motion for the
Okay,
transfer.
Brian, that motion, and do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Gary, and all those in favor for that transfer.
Aye.
All right. All three pass unanimously.
On the highway. Have you even like kind of gone back to look at how that's gonna impact? Because we're already like squeezing that budget. Have you played with those numbers at all? Uh-huh.
Yeah, he definitely had to do a reduction by this much to be able, and then he had to cut those 25 numbers. So, I think there was a healthy fund balance at one
Okay.
time.
Well, yeah,
and
but-
it has been dwindling, so now we
Okay.
have to be more in what we're actually getting in on gas tax.
Okay,
So that's why we're having to cut that, not only from this year, but we would also be cutting it from future years or finding new funding sources.
right. Which we are, looking at,
Yeah.
so,
And I think ultimately it's going to be essential
mhm,
to have an additional funding source for highway because their revenue has went down well over $1 million
mhm.
in the last several years.
Well, we're not the only county that's facing.
Right,
that.
no, it's all,
It's all over the
it's
state.
just like the jail crisis. Everyone needed jails at the same time and everyone's highway departments are underfunded right now.
Mhm. And every,
Yes, it's a
county.
conversation and this
Yeah.
called meeting fire and, highway
Absolutely.
funding.
Fire, highway, jail, drugs.
Mhm.
And the topic, of course, so
So,
that's a
yeah.
big subject across the state as well, but yeah, funding for fire and, highway,
Okay,
right? I know obviously we'll have a budget adoption session, within the next month, which is crazy to think about.
Right.
And of course, our traditional October meeting,
We'll have the reading at that.
yes, at that
Yeah,
meeting,
public
and then we'll
hearing.
have the adoption, a couple weeks following. But everybody check email, we did go ahead, we're not meeting again this evening for another budget meeting, we did go ahead and
We're on the 17th, right?
trying.
Now they moved to,
We need to move that from the 17th. There were a few conflicts, so another email, a couple more emails have gone out about moving that. And Gary, I know that was one night you were considering going to Jefferson County. But that's the only night you can go to Jefferson County and really want to be at that AIC meeting that day. That's okay. Hopefully the rest of us can be here. But we're gonna go and move that to Monday, the 23rd. I think the last email that I sent, I had hopes of doing that at
Yeah,
5:30, yeah, then we'll have, Mr. Craney from Community
Yes,
Corrections. He's
Jason
on-
said he would be available.
Okay, on department head, we need to hear from, and then obviously we as a,
I may be able to slip away.
okay,
We'll see.
we as a group may be able to, yeah, we'll be able to get through our other tabs, so to speak, and our other, departments and areas that need discussion for budget on the 23rd. And then just a reminder also, and I'm gonna continue to watch email, this certainly is, involved other municipalities in the county that were invited, as well as some not-for-profits. But the open door session has been set up for the 17th, that was over lunch. And it's Luke Britt from the state coming to do, a training, we're gonna do that in the training room at the new jail. And I know Sarah Morgan, I believe the first invite went out about that, 11:30, 12. I can't remember which is the start time. It's either 11:30 or 12 over lunch. I did get an email to just late today from Mr. Britt. He had death in the family and thinks he'll still be okay to be here, but he's kind of keeping me on standby in case that needed to be. Yes, and he even has a hotel room scheduled even, but, so we'll let everybody know if there's a change. That actually is the 17th. Yeah, it just happened to be that ironically, we had originally scheduled another budget meeting that evening, but that's over lunch. Yes, and I apologize. I have my schedule blocked up from 11:30 to 2 that day. Noon to 2 is when the actual training is. I think I blocked on.
Is this the open door training?
Yes,
Okay.
and we invited the town of Hanover, some other not-for-profit boards. Sarah and Heather did a good job helping to put together a list. Invited obviously the city of Madison as well, and anyone who really should be following, policies, procedures, rules, and regulations for open door sessions and, how that impacts, many agencies and boards in this community and how we can make sure rules are followed and, meet criteria and guidelines, and he's in wealth of knowledge. It'll be great. Hopefully, we understand not everybody can be there, but hopefully, I know there was an RSVP on that invite that went out because light lunch was gonna be provided, so I'll see if Sarah can maybe resend that. I hope her RSVP list is looking.
Okay,
We can see that, she can resend that, and then we'll obviously let everybody know if he indeed has to make a change because of a family emergency. Check on that. All right, any public comment?
How about Bob?
I Thank you as always for being here. We appreciate it. Yeah, our next council meeting will be October 8th. Because we're playing take something, October 8th. All right, we have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you, Ray. Second by our other Ray, Ray Black. All right, meeting adjourned.